Chapter 1, Lesson 1.1, Rates. Okay, so the directions here say find the unit rate. So if you remember what the definition of a unit rate is, it's a rate, right, which is a comparison between two different things in which the comparison of one of the quantities is 1. So one of the quantities has to be 1. So for the first question, it says $300 for 6 hours. So when they're telling us to find the unit rate, okay, they want to know how much money it's going to cost for 1 hour. It's telling us $300 for 6 hours, but they want to know how much money for 1 hour. So just to make things a little easier, we can also put how much money for 1 hour. That's a unit rate. One of the quantities has to be 1. So to set this up, okay, usually what we would do is we would write it in words first. Okay, so in this case we're comparing money and we're comparing hours. Now, since we know that we want 1 hour, whatever we want 1 of, okay, if we make that into a ratio or a fraction, we put that quantity, okay, in the bottom, in the denominator, okay? So we're going to put hours in the denominator and money in the numerator, okay, because we eventually want 1 hour, so that has to go into the denominator. So now let's fill it in. So we have 6 hours, and I'll put H for hours, and we have $300. Again, we want to go from 6 hours to 1 hour. So I'm going to put 1 hour. So we're trying to figure out how much money it's going to cost for 1 hour. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to say, okay, well, what number divided by 6 gives us 1? 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. Now, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So now we also have to do 300 divided by 6. So if you go to the side, okay, you're doing your long division, no calculators. 300 goes on the inside, right? That's the bigger quantity. We're dividing that up by 6. 6 goes into 3 0 times, so let's go to the 30. 6 goes into 30 5 times evenly. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 minus 30 is 0. We have another 0 to bring down. 6 goes into 0 0 times. Put the 0 up top. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. There's no remainder. So our answer comes out to be an even 50, okay, which in this case it's $50. So there's our answer, $50 per hour, or $50 for 1 hour. Here's the next question. 220 miles on 8 gallons. Okay, so we want to know how many miles on 1 gallon. Okay, so again, we're seeing which one, okay, we want 1 of. So we want 1 gallon. So when we make our ratio or fraction, we're going to put gallons in the denominator because we want 1 of that, and we'll put miles in the numerator. And now we can fill in 220, or MI for miles, and we have 8 gallons. But we don't want 8 gallons, we want only 1 gallon. I'll put GAL for gallons. So in order to do that, what number do you have to divide by 8 to get you to 1? 8. Because any number divided by itself is going to be 1. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So now we also have to do 220 divided by 8. So we can go down here, we'll do our long division. 8 goes into 22 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. 22 minus 16, we have to do a little borrowing. We change that to a 1, change that to a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, we subtracted. Now we could bring down the next digit, which in this case is a 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. And I lost room, so I'm just going to do a little thing here. Okay, 8 times 7 is 56. 60 minus 56, again we have to do a little borrowing. 10 minus 6 is 4, 5 minus 5 is 0. Okay, so now we're left with a 4. Now, there's nothing left to bring down. So what we'll do in this case is we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, that's what the directions say. So we'll go 2 numbers after the decimal, or 3 numbers after the decimal point. So since now there's nothing left to bring down, we have to add a decimal point. Okay, so we add 1 here, bring it up, 0, bring it down. Now in this case the down is going to be over here. Now 8 goes into 40. That actually goes in evenly. It goes in evenly 5 times because 5 times 8 is 40. Now 40 minus 40 is 0. Okay, so in this case we didn't have to round to the nearest hundredth or go 3 numbers because it stopped there. So what this is telling us is our answer, 27.5 or 27.5. So our answer is 27.5 or 0.5 miles per gallon, or for 1 gallon. Okay, here's a word problem. Carla biked 24 miles in 4 hours. So first things first, we found 2 important pieces of information here. 24 miles, let's put a box around that. In 4 hours, let's circle that. If she biked at a constant speed, okay, consistently, how many miles did she ride in 1 hour? Now they're telling us 1 hour, so we want 1 hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our ratio, and we're comparing, in this case, right, miles and hours, and we want 1 hour. So our hour is going to go in the denominator, because that's what we want 1 of, and we're going to have our miles in the numerator. So now let's fill in. Okay, they told us 24 miles in 4 hours, H for hours. But they want to know how much it's going, how far Carla's going to bike for 1 hour. So you have to think about it. Okay, well, what number divided by 4 gives you 1? 4. Whatever you do at the bottom, you do to the top. 24 divided by 4. Now this is a simple division problem. Okay, and 24 divided by 4 is 6, right? Okay, so if she biked at a constant speed, okay, she would go 6 miles per hour, or 6 miles in 1 hour. Find the unit price. Now the unit price is the same thing as a unit rate, okay, except we're dealing with money. Okay, so the question says $2 for 8 juice boxes. So we would like to know what it would cost for 1 juice box. Okay, so again, we found out what we're looking for 1 of, so we make our ratio. Okay, I'm going to write JB, okay, for juice boxes, and I'm going to put the dollar sign up here, okay, because remember, we want 1 juice box, so that's why it has to go in the denominator. So now let's fill in 8 JB, okay, and then we have $2. Now we want to know how much it would cost for 1 juice box. So in order to do that, we have to ask ourselves what number divided by 8 gives you 1? 8. Whatever you do at the bottom, you do to the top. Now you're probably thinking, well, oops, we can't do that. Well, yes we can. And what's going to happen is it's actually going to be less than $1. It's going to be a decimal, and don't get scared of that. So we're going to have 8 on the outside and 2 on the inside. So 8 goes into 2 0 times. Put the 0 on top. 8 times 0, 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Now there's nothing left to bring down. There are no digits to bring down. So when that happens, you have to add a decimal point and bring that up in your answer, and a 0 and bring that down. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Okay, again, we have to bring down another 0. Okay, because we want to at least go 3 numbers after the decimal point in this case, because we're dealing with money. But again, look at this. 8 goes into 40 5 times, evenly. Okay, so 8 times 5 is 40. So we have no remainder. So in this case, we don't need another need another number. Okay, so this actually went in evenly. So for one juice box, it cost 25 cents. And if you think about it, 25 cents, right? And 8 juice boxes. If you had 8 quarters, just pretend these are quarters. Right? 8 quarters. Okay, 25 cents. 25, right? 50, 75, $1, $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, $2. Right? Isn't that what we had in the first place? That's how you can check yourself also. Okay, here's another one. $7.40 for 5 pounds. Okay, so here we want to know how much it cost for 1 pound. Okay, so since we know what we want 1 of, we can make our ratio. Okay, since we want 1 pound, we're going to put our pounds in the denominator, and then our money, because that's the other thing, so it's a weird dollar sign. Okay, that's the other thing we're comparing, in the numerator. Okay, then we can start to fill in. Okay, so we have $7.40, and we have 5 pounds, and the abbreviation for pounds is LB. So we want to go from 5 pounds to 1 pound. And in order to do that, we have to divide 5 by 5. Whatever you do at the bottom, you do to the top. Okay, so now we will do long division. So go to the bottom here. Now, when we have a decimal on the inside, we automatically bring that up in our answer. Can't forget that. Oop. There we go. All right, here we go. So 5 goes into 7 once. 1 times 5 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the next number, which is a 4. Now we have 24. 5 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5, 20. 24 minus 20 is 4. Bring down the next digit, and number is 0, so now it's 40. 5 goes into 40 8 times evenly, right? Because 8 times 5 is 40, so 40 minus 40, 0, we have no remainder. Okay, so this is telling us that for 1 pound, say maybe of apples, right, it cost $1.48. Okay, so now we have a table. And the question asks, which size bag has the lowest price per pound to the nearest cent? Okay, so let's look at the table. So the table shows us dog food prices. And we're comparing that with, obviously, money, right? The price and the bag size of pounds. So it's telling us that for 40 pounds, it's $49. For 20-pound bag, it's $23.44. And for an 8-pound bag, it costs $9.88. So what they want us to do is they want us to take each of these and find out how much it costs per pound to the nearest cent. Okay, because when you go to the store, okay, you're deciding, well, should I get the 40 pound? Should I get the 20 pound? Should I get the 8 pound? You want to get the most for your money. So that's why we're going to figure out how much it costs per pound for each of those. So let's start with the 40 pound. Okay, so again, we want to go from 40 pounds to 1 pound. So when we make our ratio, all right, the 40 pounds, so we know what we're doing here, okay? When we make our ratio, since we want to go from 40 pounds to 1 pound, our pounds has to go into the denominator, right? And the other thing we're comparing it to is the money. So now let's fill in. Okay, so $49. Okay, for a 40 pound, I'll do LB for pounds, bag of dog food. And again, we want to go from 40 pounds to 1 pound. What number divided by 40 gives you 1? 40. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Now I'm going to go on another page because I don't think I'm going to have enough room. Okay, so I set my problem up here, 49 divided by 40. Okay, and again, when we have our decimal inside, we bring that up right away. Okay, 40 goes into 49 once. 1 times 40 is 40. 49 minus 40 is 9. We bring down the next digit, which is a 0. It turns into 90. 40 goes into 90 twice, right? Because 2 times 40 is 80. 90 minus 80 is 10. Bring down the next digit, which is a 0. Okay, now that turns into 100. Now 40 goes into 100 twice again. 2 times 40 is 80. Now we're going to go one more number after the decimal point. So we're going to go 3 numbers, okay, just to see if we have to round to the nearest cent. So 100 minus 80 is 20. Bring down another 0. We have to add 1 this time. Okay, and then 40 goes into 200, actually evenly 5 times, because 5 times 40 is 200. So now we have to round to the nearest cent. Okay, and remember, when you're dealing with money, you're never going to see this number on a price tag, right? So what we do is when we round, okay, to the nearest cent, it's basically the nearest hundredth. So we're going to circle. I'll rewrite the number over here. 225. 25. Okay, so let's circle. Okay, so the number that's in the hundredths place, in this case, is the second 2. We're going to circle it. We're going to look at its neighbor. 5 or higher, you up the score. 4 or less, you let it rest. So it's 5 or higher. So we're going to change that 2 to a 3. Okay, and then we're going to chop and drop. So our answer here, we got $1.23. Okay, so for the 40-pound bag, okay, per pound, it's $1.23. So for 1 pound, right, it's $1.23 for the 40-pound bag. Okay, so again, so now we have one of them. We have the 40-pound bag, okay, per pound is $1.23. So now let's go on to the 20-pound bag. So the 20-pound bag. So again, since we know that we want pounds to be 1, we have to put that in our ratio in the denominator. So pounds and money. Okay, then we fill in. So in this case, right, for the table, 20 pounds costs $23.44. Okay, so 20 pounds was $23.44. And we want to go from 20 pounds to 1 pound. So in order to do that, we have to divide by 20. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Okay, so now we have to do our division. So I'll do that here. When you have a decimal on the inside, remember to bring it up to the top, right, in your answer. Okay, 20 goes into 23 once. 1 times 20 is 20. 23 minus 20 is 3. Bring down the next digit, which is a 4. So now it's 34. 20 goes into 34 once. 1 times 20, 20. 34 minus 20, okay, ends up being 14. Now we have to bring down the next number, which is a 4. So now we have 144. 20 goes into 144 7 times. Okay, I'm going to have to move up here, sorry. Okay, and then 20 times 7 is 140. 144 minus 140 is 4. Okay, and we'll go one more number, so we have to add a 0, bring it down, which is over here. 20 goes into 40. Oh, it goes in evenly twice, right? Because 2 times 20 is 40. Okay, so again, we're dealing with money here, right? You would never see this type of number on a price tag. So let's bring it over here. We have to round to the nearest cent. So in this case, the 7 is in the hundredths place. We have to round to. Look at its neighbor. 5 or higher, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Now, since it's lower than 4, right, 4 or lower, that 7 stays a 7. Okay, so then we chop and drop, and our answer comes out to be $1.17 for 1 pound for the 20 ounce. I'm sorry, the 20-pound bag. So let's go back. Oop. Okay, so let's write that down. So we have $1.17 per pound. Now in this case, which bag is cheaper? The 40-pound or the 20-pound per pound? The 20-pound. Okay, but we still have to do the 8-pound to make sure. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so we're going to do our 8-pound. So for the 8-pound bag, it costs $9.88. So we want to see what that dog food costs per pound. So over here, we know pounds has to be in the denominator because that's what we want one of. So I'm going to write pounds again in money. Then we fill it in for the 8-pound. Okay, it costs $9.88. We want to go from 8 pounds to 1 pound. In order to do that, we have to divide 8 by 8, right, to get to 1. Whatever you do in the bottom, you do to the top. Then we have to do our division. So we'll go down here. When the decimal's on the inside, remember to bring it up. Okay, so now 8 goes into 9 once. 8 times 1 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down the 8. Now it goes into 18. 8 goes into 18 twice. 2 times 8, 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring down that 8. Right? 8 goes into 28 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. And I'm just going to go up here. Sorry. Right? 28 minus 24 is 4. There's nothing left to bring down, so I'm just going to add a 0 and bring it down here. Oh, and 8 goes into 40 5 times evenly. 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, so now let's take that number and let's go over here so we can round it. Okay, because we want to round to the nearest cent. So in this case, the nearest cent, all right, in the hundredths place is the 3. We look at its neighbor. 5 or higher, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So it's 5 or higher, so we're going to make that 3 into a 4. Okay, and then we're going to chop, chop and drop. Okay, so it turned out to be $1.24 per pound. So let's go back here. $1.24 per pound. Wow, I was very close for the 40-pound. So now by looking at all of these, which one is the cheapest per pound? We have $1.23, we have $1.17, and we have $1.24. $1.17 is the cheapest. Okay, so again, the question was, which size bag has the lowest price per pound to the nearest cent? It is the 20-pound bag.